Introduction to lead generation. Each year, generating leads becomes twice as much difficult as it was the year before. And the entire landscape has changed so much for paid ads, for outreach, for affiliates, and stuff like that. In 2010, during that period, anybody can, like, ClickFunnels was a new thing. Anybody can make a really basic word page like funnel and with really simple copy and pictures and horrible ads and still crush it when there was not that many people who knew Facebook ads and were using it, right? Um, Cold outreach was working very easily back then because not many people used to receive emails and stuff like that. And then now you have COVID that happened, and then overall that got difficult, and then short form came in, and spam laws and all of these things, and the way people consume content is changing, and people's attention span is going away. And different audiences have different, especially in the modern day with AI, it's becoming so hard to capture attention that most people would rather just, which is why like you have to be really good and really understand all of these four levers, which is paid ads, um, cold outreach, warm outreach, affiliates, referrals, all of these things, and organic content. Because if you don't do that, then in the future, if any of these becomes redundant, you have other infinity stones that you can use to crush um, your overall scalability. And the thing is, it took me way too long to learn this. I've probably been the guy who has marketed the most events in the self-development and coaching space in 2024, in behind the scenes, end to end. All right. Maybe I don't get the credit because I wasn't the owner or anything like that, but I probably marketed nearly 1,000 events, and these lessons or these mistakes in the beginning, I was horrible. I was an inexperienced guy who was assigned like all of these clients on day one, and the only thing I knew was the webinar model. So I would force everyone to do a one-to-many, and then many didn't get good results, and I didn't know what to do. I'd never done it before myself. And later on, we figured out different other approaches, offers, strategies, stuff like that. Both one-on-ones, one-to-manys for all industries. Like we've done, like I've probably have the most experience when it comes to marketing, compared to most people. So all of this advice for promoting for lead generation is based off hard um, lessons learned and mistakes made, and probably millions in wasted ad spend. So hopefully you don't have to. And especially in the present day, I've generated like towards the last year, this I was finally able to be good enough. And I'm also not trying to brag myself, but I was able to generate about like seven figures for a lot of clients, and people, and refine the strategies and systems that most marketers would overlook or boast. Front facing, um, it's like you need more deeper strategies, right? So this overall video series and trainings that you're going to learn will pretty much cover everything. All different ways of generating leads. We'll get into funnels, we'll get into paid ads, we'll give you the exact scripts, the exact strategies. Everything is pre-made. You can just use it and plug and play. And especially if you're a coach, like we dig deeper into the ones who are successful, what they're doing right, what you're doing wrong, how we can structure things the right way. Pretty much everything is included here. Um, the websites are there and the web pages are there, and they're probably the best aspect or one of the best aspects because we've modeled after the highest converting plays that have been done by some of the most successful coaches, and you guys just get access to those for free, so you can just take it and implement it. So I don't have to. And I originally made this training for myself and my team. That's the reason. That's the main underlying reason. Like at any day, I can just take this all off from socials and still have it for internal trainings. And that's why I'm putting in the effort and the time to do it right. And also hope that, again, as I mentioned earlier, that those of you who are daring to take on the responsibility of having somebody else's futures be determined by your own effort, making it as easy as possible for you guys to be able to achieve that and to be successful, right? But anyways, now the thing with lead generation creates the bucket. It's literally the bucket is like, let's look at the bucket in terms of the five levers, which is lead gen, lead nurture, sales, fulfillment, retention, and ascension. This is the first step, lead generation. And how many leads you have gets filtered down into the next four steps. You might take your closing rate to 100% from 50%. You might take your show up rates to 100%. You might take your retention rate to 100%. But if you were only able to attract 20 people through your lead generation system, then you can only max it out to a certain level. And most businesses have good fulfillment. They are good at warm outreach, or they just rely on one method. But quite often they fail because they don't understand this or they don't know how to execute this. Um, and they're too reliant on word of mouth, or they're too reliant on uh, one platform or something like that, which is good in the beginning. If it's working, don't stop. But most of you don't really know what you're doing, right? And this overall training tries to make it as simple as possible from offer creation to every single lever after that you could just take it and implement it. And obviously, the better you are at generating leads, the better you are at grabbing attention and putting yourself in front of people, the more impact you can create, the more resources, finances, influence, everything you can have, and the more quickly you'll be able to achieve your goals. And the thing is, the same strategy, the same structure for lead generation isn't just limited to attracting customers. It applies for attracting talent when you're hiring staff. It applies for attracting investors and mentors. It applies for attracting affiliates. Heck, you can apply it for pretty much everything because most funnels, not funnels, sorry, most business models have these five levers and most plays have these five levers. So it could be like a talent model, it could be anything, and you would start with lead gen, and this is like probably going to be an extremely fun overall concept, but don't neglect this. Quite often, I know people who were so good at lead generation that their sales are horrible and their show up rates were horrible and their retention is horrible. Yet, marketing alone is the reason why their business exists because they're really good at paid ads or something. Um, and they can just fill the audience. So even if they're closing 2%, but if you're closing 2% of 10,000 people, that's more than enough. And they didn't had any fancy sales systems like one-on-ones or anything like that. And I've known businesses who were able to achieve this, right? Yet on the other hand, I know businesses who are really good at sales, but they don't have enough leads coming in, or not the right leads coming in, and they don't know how to qualify them, or they don't know how to structure things the right way and attract the right audience, which is why most businesses fail. So hopefully this fixes that once and for all. So whenever you start something new, or even within your current offers and plays, any different, like whether it's events, whether it is giveaways, whether it is one-on-one calls, strategy sessions, whether it's personalized offers or bundles, this module overall will give you all the things that you need so you can use it and get them live as fast as possible in as short of a time as possible. You can work on multiple plays at once. I recommend start with one platform. I would recommend Facebook. That's the one I would recommend Meta, like Facebook, Instagram. Most coaches, most of your audience, even the ones that are more high-end, would have it over here. I would probably add lessons for Google and TikTok, and Google includes YouTube as well, and LinkedIn later, but I've tried all of those platforms, and generally, like in the coaching space, Meta works the best. The second thing is that it's also the most widely used platform, and it's easier to deploy across multiple platforms from it. So you just learn one play and you can use that. And then all the other platforms are their interface is similar to Meta. So if you learn how to run paid ads on Meta, you can run them on LinkedIn, you can run them on TikTok. Google is a bit different, but the other reason why I'm not recommending Google is because of SEO and Google AdWords. They're generally forex expensive and they're reliant on people who are already problem aware. So they're already searching in the market for a problem. Like if somebody wants a business coach, or let's just say whatever specialty coach you are, if they're searching for somebody like that, they know they're looking for it, and then they'll look at the competitors as well because most people don't look at just one, and Google ads normally are 4x expensive per sale or generally lead. Again, varies depending on the nature you are in, but then Meta and LinkedIn is nearly 10 times because the least amount of people are on LinkedIn in terms of average time they spend on it. But it is high intent because they're there to do business. Yet, again, it varies. You can attract the same executives by plays like lookalike audiences and scraping lists and building lookalikes off them and stuff like that, which allows you to target really high-end people. You can geotag locations on Meta. You can do a lot of cool things that I'll cover later. But yeah, start with Meta, then run ads on other platforms. What to create, email sequences, landing pages, offer creation, all of that is going to be covered here. By the time you're done with this, you hopefully will never have to worry about. Um, actually, I wonder if 5 years from now the landscape will be completely different and new platforms will be there. Who knows? The world is changing at a really fast pace with AI and everything else. So the more channels you can master, and warm outreach is equally important, and referrals and affiliates and using influencers, people who already have an audience. The better you are at mastering those, and not just paid ads are the fastest, but like affiliates and referrals are based off relationships that you can count on if you're not able to rely on paid ads or your audience. If it becomes more difficult to build one in the future, then this would be the second best play that you can rely on. People who already have audiences. Um, and I have a feeling that will likely be the case. Influencers might end up being the most in demand way of advertising in the near future because if like the platforms are swarmed with content, then the only best thing that you could do is, and it's very difficult to build your own audience or capture attention, then you just go to people who already have attention and who already have those relationships, right? As well as one-on-ones and the ability to reach out to anyone and close them through cold outreach and warm outreach. I try to cover all of these here. Um, and yeah, let's start lead generation.